Okay. I'm going to go over just a couple of things with you very quickly on here. We're going to go over, again, how to write a reflection, because I still have people asking how to do that. And then we're also going to go over the Chapter 4 information and make sure that you understand what assignments are due. First of all, on classwork, after we take care of this explanation in the video, you need to make sure that you go to this daily check-in form and you complete that. Every day when you come into class, that's the first thing you do. You check in on that daily form. There's no reflections under my tab right now because I moved them down to another one, but we'll look at those in a minute. Anything that says MP2 beside it, that means marking period 2. We are still in marking period 1. So don't worry about anything that says MP2. The cyberbullying survey, that's for marking period 1. Make sure you have completed that. Make sure you have completed the word art that goes with it. Assignments due for marking period 1. Most of these assignments are your 1 through 25 reflections. And then we have chapters in cyber literacy. We have chapters 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to click view more on here, and that's what you're going to have to do. I moved them all under one tab so it would be less confusing for you. Yes, there are a lot of them, but we're talking about 9 weeks worth of work. So your reflections are in here. Here is chapter 3. Here is chapter 2 of cyber literacy. Here is the Cyber Patriot Unit 0. That's the one on ethics. Your computer definition quiz is here. This student survey is not a graded assignment. This is something that one of the other admin people needed you to do. Do that if you haven't already done so. But no, it's not for a grade. These forms, the Save My Google Voice number, Join the Remind, student information, syllabus receipt, and cell phone policy. These were supposed to be done quite a bit earlier in the 9 weeks because this is information that I need from you and from your parents. If you have not done these, I'm not going to put a 0 in there, but you're not going to get 100 for doing it either. All right. So if you've done these and I go look at those forms and I see that your name is there and your parents' name is there, you'll have 100 in there. But I'm not going to put a 0. You're just going to be missing 5 easy 100s that you could have. So I would encourage you to try to get these done as quickly as possible. And no, you can't do them here. You have to do these at home because your parents need to give you some of the information and they need to look at the information with you. Your cyber literacy chapter 1 is right here. And then here are some more of your reflections. All right. So we're just going to pick a reflection, and I'm feeling like butterflies today, so we'll just look at this reflection 5, butterfly. It says write a 3 to 5 sentence reflection about the attached quote. It says attached, so you know that somewhere down here there is a quote attached, and I have people asking me, where are the quotes at? Well, they're attached to the assignment. So I'm just going to pull that up. I'm going to click on that. And we have this quote that says, perhaps the butterfly is proof that you can go through a great deal of darkness, yet become something beautiful. You know, butterflies go into their cocoon and then they sit there and literally what they were before kind of dies around them and then they become something else. All right. But it's dark in there. And we all have times that we go through darkness and, you know, we reemerge into the light. And sometimes, you know, it changes us as people. Now, that's just kind of an example of how you could talk yourself through one of these. You're going to write 3 sentences. First, you're going to restate it in your own words. Then you're going to reflect on it and write what it means. Then you relate to it by writing about a connection you have to the quote. And you cannot say, I had a student last year, I have no connection to this. I have no connection to this. If you write that sentence that you're not connected to it in any way, shape, or form, you're not going to get full credit. Because in one way or another, you can relate to it. It may not be you. It may be someone else that you know, but you can find a way to relate to it. So you're going to write 3 sentences about each one of these. And again, the quotes are attached right here at the bottom. In order for you to complete the assignment, I can't show you that part because mine looks different. You're going to click View Assignment. And then over on the right-hand side at the top, it's going to say Create, and you're going to create a Google Doc. And on that Google Doc, you're going to type your 3 sentences. When you're done, you can close that Google Doc and go back to the assignment, and the document should already be attached to the assignment, and all you have to do is click Mark as Done, or in your cases now, since I've already put zeros on anybody who hasn't finished it in here, Resubmit, so that I can change that grade. All right. Before we move on to something else, are there any questions that you think would benefit someone else, or you just want to know about how to do a reflection? Do you feel like you understand this process? Everyone understands? Okay, we're going to move on then. Anything else down here? Oh, notes right here. This says marking period 1 notes. I put these things on here for you to look at. These notes that are here should be in your composition book. There's videos that we went over them, so you need to make sure that you write those notes down. And then right here, this is the PDF file for the chapters 1 through 3 in that Everything Computers unit. Make sure that you have those notes in your composition book as well. Now remember, if you need to find those, or if you have questions about those, you can always go back to the PDF here, and you can always go back to the videos here. I'm leaving those on there. I won't take those away. You'll have access to them the entire year. Cyber Patriot, we will talk more about that later. All right. So before we move on, are there any questions at all about the assignments due for marking period 1 or anything that we've already covered? All right. I feel like many of you in here have already gotten a lot of this done, but if you haven't, when we're finished going over the new unit for chapter 4 on cyber literacy, then I'm going to turn you loose to work on more of your makeup work if you need to. All right. So right down here, I know it says marking period 2. It's scheduled for now, but I'm not putting the grade in until next quarter. Now, you still need to work on it, especially those of you who are already finished with all of the makeup work and all of that. This is your new assignment. So I'm going to go over it with you fairly quickly so that you still have time to work. All right. This is cyber literacy, and this is chapter 4. And it says protecting what's yours, your identity. We talked about ethics. We talked about cyberbullying. But protecting your identity is one of the best ways that you can keep yourself safe online. You're going to need to know the difference between private and personal information, which type is never safe to share. You'll learn about identity thieves, the type of information that they steal, and how they accomplish identity theft. You're going to be able to have some tips for staying safe online, including how to create a strong password. Those things help you to avoid identity theft. And then they have a discussion at the end of what to do if your identity is compromised. Your key terms, you don't have very many for this one. Identity theft, identity thieves, private information, personal information, passwords. And remember, they're not in alphabetical order, but they are in the order that you will find them in the reading. Remember, if you see something like this, if you see a 1, 2, 3 or whatever right here, how identity theft is accomplished? Well, number 1, phone calls, number 2, phishing, and number 3, public computers. All right, these are things you're going to need to at least write these down in your notes. And you might want to put a couple of little notes underneath that. Stolen information. It says, what do thieves do with them? Well, they give you a list. says, while not every thief uses stolen information in the same way, many use it in the ways listed below. All right, so you're going to need to write stolen information, and then you're going to want to put this list down here. What's private and what's personal? The words private and personal have similar meanings, but in cyberspace, the difference between them is very important. It's not always easy to comprehend what information is private and should never be shared online, and what information is personal but is acceptable to share online. This is really important that you understand the difference between these two. Review the characteristics of private versus personal information and think about the information you reveal on the internet. Private information. And they tell you these things right here. These are things that you should never, ever, ever share on the internet. These are things that people can use to find where you live, see who you are, see where you go to school, all kinds of things like that. They can use them to steal your identity. So these are things that you have to be very, very, very careful with. And I'm going to have you make sure that you put this into your notes. Personal information doesn't necessarily identify who you are. Private information identifies who you are. That's why they call it personally identifying information. All right. Just personal information doesn't identify you, even though it's personal to you. For example, your favorite sport, music, opinions, advice, favorite books, okay? Those things are kind of who you are, but they don't identify you. Like your name, social security number, birth date, address, phone number, account passwords, things like that. You have to be careful with those. When is it safe to share private information? Most of the time, never. Talk to your parent or your guardian. Ask them if it's okay to share it. Shown below are a few examples where you may be required to provide private information. When you get ready to get your driver's license, or if you're trying to get a job, things like that, or if you want to set up a bank account, yes, you have to share private information then. But those people are expected not to share your private information. Staying safe by staying alert. There are some things you can do to make sure you are protected online, most of which require a heightened sense of observation and staying alert while using the internet. You know that feeling that you get when something just isn't quite right? Pay attention to that. That's there to protect you. Identity protection tips. All of these right here need to be put into your notes. Notice this is in bold print. And then this is a list. You make sure those go into your notes. Then they give you some tips on how to create that strong password. Again, another list, and it goes into your notes. And we will talk more in depth about these at a later time. I just want to go through the notes with you right now. What do you do if your identity is compromised? Well, they tell you what to do then. Report it, close it, watch it. Make sure that you're paying attention to your things. All right, so that is it for the notes on this. Now, are there any questions about what you need to do as far as notes are concerned? Because we have just a couple of quick other activities to look at. All right, so let's go back. Remember, you have a PowerPoint here that kind of sums things up that you can look at as well. All right, activity 1 and activity 2. Those are going to be those teacher-made activities. Remember that you will click on the link. You will go there. You will follow the instructions. It will tell you what to do on the activity. All right, here is activity 1. Activity 2, use the highlighter to mark the information that could be used to steal a person's identity. You have a highlighter on this. You can click on it and you can highlight whatever it is. What are some of the things on this one that could be used to steal his identity? His birthday, maybe? What else? His address. All right. Possibly on the ID. But that's one that could go either way. So you get the idea here. You're going to use the highlighter and you're going to highlight these. Activity 3 is multiple choice questions. Remember, when you finish this, you will click submit. It will score it. I'm not going to score this because mine's going to be a 0. After you do that, you go back to the assignment, you view it, and in the private comments box on the right-hand side, you type your score, and then you click mark as done. Or resubmit, because some of you turned them in without actually putting the score in there. So you may have to resubmit. All right, that's the same for activity 1 and activity 2. And then right here we have the chapter 4 quiz. It works the same way. On all 3 of these, you make sure that you submit it, type your score, and then mark it as done for the assignment here. Are there any questions on what you need to do for cyber literacy chapter 4? All right, we're going to go back to the meeting here. Remember that you can stop the recording and you can pause it to do whatever it is that you need to do from time to time on there. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now.